What's up guys, Anfield here. Welcome back to another video. Today's video was supposed to be gear progression. I was going to talk about or highlight how I've sort of changed my gear and how much progress I've made since the video I made 2 months ago, the outline plans just before Land of the Morning Light came out, of what I was going to do, how I was going to progress, and what it was going to look like. So that was mainly due to the addition of sovereign weapons. I didn't know at the time that Karazad weapons or accessories were going to come into the game. So a lot's changed since I made that video, and I did have plans. However, every time I've tried to make this video, in that fashion, I've struggled. I don't really know what to say because every time I try to talk about it and what has happened since that video is a little depressing sounding. I guess so. What this video is going to be instead is a little bit more of a fireside chat. I'm just going to talk to you guys about my feelings on the game, my hopes for the game, and where I'm at with it, and why things have happened the way they have. So I think the easiest way is to show you why it was so difficult for me to make the video in the first place. So my initial video was talking about my gear. Now what I had before was an evasion build ranger. This was before we had the new accessories in the game, no Karazad, so I had like a centaur belt. I also had a swap in for a pen ethereal earring, and that was always how I built my ranger. I don't have any of those evasion accessories anymore. My Pentongrad belt I did have originally for if I ever played Succession or PvE, obviously. Those are gone. I was able to replace the belt with a Karazad. However, the Centaur belt and the Ethereal, I melted and sold the Essence of Dawn so I could slam click this weapon. So I actually don't have even the crystals. I have only AP crystals. So yeah, I don't have a evasion crystal now. Eventually, if they do something about PvP, which we'll get into in a second, I will work on them. But for the time being, I just don't see the point. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at with that. I don't have them anymore. I sold them so I could click Oct on this. I didn't get it, but I'm 25 clicks in, so hopefully soon. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at, right? So okay, we have gotten the sovereign weapons since the video was made, and we have gotten the Karazad, which I didn't know about when I made the video. We don't have the PvP artifacts, which I did touch upon in the video, simply because I got about like 80% of the way to buying one from fragments, and then I just sold them all so I could click Oct again. So yeah. Oh, also I have my shoes are changed to DR just so that it's easier in PvE, because PA doesn't know how to make it so that evasion actually works in PvE at endgame. So for the time being, it makes more sense to have DR shoes. So yeah, that's a quick overview of what has changed. You can go back and watch the video if you want. I had double pen Tungrad rings. I had a pen Deba, which is now the Nove. I had a pen Tungrad, and I've been able to make a pen Karazad belt to replace it. My two Tet Debo earrings are now obviously pen Karazad earrings. That's it. And then obviously the Sep and the Tet. My dream was to get an Oct, but I had not acknowledged that was super unlikely to happen in my video. I said I would be happy with Hex or Sep. I've got Sep, which is great, and now we're working on Oct. For this, I'm just going to leave it because I don't want to spend any crons clicking pen on this when I still need them for the Sep. So that's where I'm at with that. Not too much else to say about gear, I think. I mean, like I said, every time I thought about it, it's like, oh yeah, this is kind of where I'm at. Now, again, just like reiterate the problem with I had making the video, and I've explained this on stream, because my friend Cleach, shout out, he's like, oh, you should go for the Karazad. It makes more sense for an AP point that you can get those way cheaper, upgrade your Karazad accessories than getting Oct. And he's absolutely correct. But I don't care. And the reason I don't care is that I don't feel like gear progression means anything. So the reason I want Oct, even though it's gear progression, is because it has a better glow. That is it. There's no secret. Let me just take this off because I don't like that BSR thing. There's no secret. I want a bigger glow on my awakening weapon. That's literally what it comes down to. It's not a gear progression thing. It's a look thing, which I always thought BDO should lean more into. They release things and people go crazy for them, and then they just like don't do it for a long time. Like, it seems crazy to me, like simple things like the tier 10 Pegasus and alternate skin, but you could have just done that as like a rare achievement, like the Nightmare Pegasus was. You know, because I mean, look, you could literally recolor this thing like green or purple and make it rare and hard to achieve, and people go nuts even though it doesn't mean anything, you know? I don't understand why they don't do more things on appearance. I mean, this thing desperately needs a brand new skin, not a recolor, because I have to put this outfit on or it looks hideous. So yeah, that's kind of that. I don't, like, gear-wise, I just don't feel motivated. And it's okay if you do, by the way, if you're watching this video and don't empathize and you're like, I'm so motivated, I love grinding more gear to go in circles. That's totally fine. It's just not where I'm at. I play the game for PvP. I've always played the game for PvP. It's what I enjoy the most. I love the combat in the game, like anybody, but I don't think the combat is enough for me to just kill mobs aimlessly. I think it's enough for some people who will kill mobs endlessly for the sake of progression, but also some people that will basically pick up the game, play for a little bit, and then put it aside and aren't really serious long-term players all the time. They just kind of come in and out, check out new content, kill some mobs, remember the combat's really fun, and then get bored and put it down again. I think personally, the vast majority of people, I think PA has really hurt the veteran player base. And it sucks because they have made some really good changes. So I bought a boat, for example. I've always wanted this, and I was excited when they announced eventually they were going to allow us to buy carracks. I've not really done that much bartering. I don't know what my bartering level is. Beginner 2. But I've always wanted a carrack, and so I was able to buy a Volante. So that should tell you something. I spent like 28 billion buying a carrack that I don't even actually use. I just wanted it because it's cool as hell. This kind of thing, I do think that like they don't lean into enough, like cool stuff like this. I mean, bartering kind of sucks at the money. At the money. Well, that's true too. At the moment, anyway. But the fishing they upgraded, which is kind of cool. So you know, hopefully more integration for having a carrack. I mean, some people are. I guess you don't really need a carrack, but you know, people taking them out to like or is it Kharkov and not Arazahaza. Island and stuff like that. So you know, people are definitely doing it, but you don't really need a carrack for that. So it'd be cool if they did more things with bartering or ship combat and stuff, because they're really cool, and I've always wanted one. So yeah, so there's, I mean, it's not loads to talk about, and I don't want to shit on the game, but I do think that their attempts to diminish PvP has really been bad. I mean, that's not including the worst part for me, which is that, like, for a long time, capped PvP has been, like, the PvP. And they've been taking away more and more reasons to do uncapped PvP. Which is, you know, at the moment you've got, like, Tier 5 Node Wars, which is, you know, let's not even get into Node Wars. And then Siege, and some Sieges only are uncapped. You know, that's crazy. Given a game that used to be everything was uncapped. I don't disagree with capped, by the way. I'm not attacking capped PvP. I've enjoyed capped PvP sometimes. But there needs to be a reason to progress. And even when I was in a capped guild, you know, because I was taking the game more casually, we would always fight guilds that were like, you know, similar level, right? You know, like, despite being a PvP guild, we weren't always fighting the biggest siege guild with all the gear. So it was always kind of nice that there was like an equilibrium, an ecosystem that would develop for like GVGs. So it may be uncapped, but you would still face guilds that were a similar level to you oftentimes. And every little Timmy casual swears that their little life skill guild got warred into submission by a big siege guild who definitely spent their time hunting them down for no reason at all. And I mean, it's always been like that, where, you know, people will say things and I'm just like, yeah, definitely things that happened. But in general, like, I mean, there's, especially now, there's so many ways to escape a GVG in terms of channel cooldowns being 5 minutes, in terms of the fact that you can have a home channel, the protection system, which shouldn't still exist in the game. And it's ironic, I think, that GVG is the system that allows players the fairest level of PvP. is gone, and that like negative karma red players are still in the game. And just to expand on that a little bit, if you have a GVG, you know, let's say I'm grinding and some guy comes onto my grind spot, tries to grind over me. Okay, and let's say I'm successful in war in their guild within the old system. You know, even though we're both buffed for PvE, the people that come and help will then be buffed for PvP, and I'm going to go buff for PvP, and it's going to be worth it because the fight's going to last a while. If a negative karma player comes to you while you're grinding, they are absolutely buffed for PvP. You're buffed for PvE, which is a big problem. This is why Arsha has a huge problem. And then you're fighting in PvE gear, they're fighting in PvP gear. Every time I've swapped to PvP gear to fight a negative karma player, they've left. You know, that's the problem with as well with Arsha. Like, be like, oh, you're missing uncapped PvP, just go on Arsha. Like, okay, let me go PvP buff, go on Arsha, and bully a bunch of people who are trying to grind at PvE buffed. I mean, the game is so heavily like changed to be in a way where like your buffs are so totally separate for PvP and PvE. Like the gap is enormous in terms of the stats difference between the two. And like if you're PvP buffed, your PvE is abysmal. If you're PvE buffed, your PvP is abysmal. You know, and that's the problem with like Arsha. You know, unless you like arrange some kind of fight, you know, it just isn't enough. And GVGs were always my favorite type of content because you would rock up to a GVG, and it was that player-made story of like, oh, this is a guild we've got a long history of a rivalry with, and this is, well, we found them over here, we're fighting them, and we ganked them. You know, that kind of thing was really, really, really fun, and it's a shame really that you know, I guess maybe a bunch of Korean streamers that tried the game from Lost Ark decided that they didn't want to do that anymore. And PA, instead of like banning any player that was taking it too far and literally following people through channels, they took the whole system away. So yeah, anyway, I mean, that's that. And I am upset about Node Wars too, because let's be honest, that's a dumpster fire, but that's a whole other thing, whole other video. And I haven't done Node Wars in months, which should tell you quite a lot, I guess. Recently, they tried to add the system back, which is like such a convoluted way, like, oh, our system definitely isn't terrible, but here's your old system as an option. and it's apparently been a disaster because they can't actually do it because it keeps bugging out or something. So yeah, I guess we'll give that more time to see how that goes. But that's kind of how I'm feeling about BDO. Sorry to be such a negative Nancy. I don't think the game is dead or like, look, it's struggling for population, and anybody that said anything different is coping hard. I love BDO and I don't want it to have a population crisis or whatever you want to call it or anything like that. I would never say dying because let's be honest. I mean, like, what is dying? I mean, I know my little indie Korean game that I first started MMOs on still has servers running to this day, and it was like 1,500 people at peak. So, you know, dying is a strong word anyway, but it is struggling for population. I know we only have the Steam numbers, but you can also see in game, it's the subtle things for me where like you can run around, and on any channel that I'm on, I noticed that there's just left people doing AFK stuff. At the moment we have a fishing event, so it's a little unfair maybe for me to say, oh, there's less AFK people, but it was before this as well, where you'd see less people. And I do think that you create a system of a game with a backbone of PvP. I mean, like no people AFK processing is absolutely wild to me. You create a backbone of, let's create a game with a sandbox approach, a PvP backbone. Everything is a fight. Everything is a resource to fight over. Your guild is your home. You know, you help your guildies out, you know, and then the fights you have in the open world all the time in GVGs then bleed into Node Wars, and the stories you create of hating those. I mean, that's the BDO that I loved, and that's the BDO that they've taken away because they're trying to attract a very temporary casual audience who are afraid of dying in a video game once in a while because they walk onto a player's grind spot, you know. I mean, to me, the most toxic form of gameplay has always been someone willing to karma bomb to take over your grind spot. That's never been addressed, ever. But, you know, the PvP, oh, God forbid you lose nothing and die in you know. So, yeah. that's where I'm at. I'm hoping the Calpheon Bowl will do something, because I think they do need to do something. And I know we only have the Steam numbers in terms of actual numbers, but they are indicative, and it's bad, right? I don't think Throne and Liberty is any good, by the way. I see a lot of BDO streamers hard on Throne and Liberty. They're just desperate for something. But they'd all be back straight to BDO. BDO made these changes because it is the superior game. It just is. There's that phrase of lions led by donkeys that describes the First World War, and in this case, I think the game is the lion and the So I don't need to go any further than that. So yeah, let me know how you guys are feeling. If you watch this video, this is a rant and a half, and I've never really put it into video format before because I don't want to be dramatic. I'm not going to delete my gear and be like, haha. And if I ever did decide, look, the game is not for me anymore. They're targeting an audience that they think they can succeed with. You know, they think the game has enough PvE elements to survive. That's fine. I'm not going to play for now. I would never just delete my gear. I would never hard quit. I would never make a dramatic video why BDO is dead. This is just me venting a little bit, which I've never done before in video format, and I do it a lot on stream. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it anyway if you did watch. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. I'm always curious to read what people are saying, and especially now at the moment. Are you looking forward to the Calpheon Bowl? How do you feel about that? You know, I've watched every single Calpheon Bowl on stream, and I've always hosted like a watch party live here at my manor. Look at that cool ass statue, by the way. Ooh, so cool. This is the first one I was just, you know what, man, the way I'm feeling, I almost just, because it'll be early in the morning, I'm just like, do I want to get up at like whatever 4 or 6 in the morning, whatever it is, and watch it on a Saturday? Or do I just wait and see if the recap was any good? I'm not sure. But let me know what you guys think. And as always, thanks for watching. Sorry for being kind of like not super active on YouTube. I did move, but that's no excuse because I wasn't really that active before. I just haven't felt the motivational kick. It's the same with like the Ranger guys. It's like Ranger guys are always built around lots of changes to the game, PvP being the forefront and wanting to help people play the class, hoping that people could get the foundations from my videos and then go on to be much better than I am at the class. But yeah, at the moment, just I get the PvP videos are pretty accurate anyway, so I don't really need to go crazy. But yeah, let me know what you're thinking, and hopefully I'll catch you on the next one. See you guys later.